Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Ipfd Talks podcast. I'm your host, Wojtek, and today we're kicking off the year with important and inspiring conversation about what this truly means to be a best place to work. We're celebrating a major milestone, the ISO certification across home credit businesses, but also IPF Digital Poland, a global recognition of how we support psychological health and safety at work. This achievement sets the foundation for how we want to work together in 2026 and beyond. And who better to discuss this with that our HR director? Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Leanne Whittle. We are hearing a lot about this ISO certification, but in general, what does it mean for me? So how this will influence us as an organization?
What is ISO? So ISO is an external framework and an external standard that looks at psychological safety and psychological health. And the reason why IPF decided in 2025 that we wanted to take our care strategy to the next level by looking at a professional accreditation and standard is because we wanted to have a more systematic approach towards how we evaluate our risks and how we can put in place a consistent framework and methodology that we can use to gather feedback and to make sure that we've got standards in place that we want to assess ourselves against. So we set the ambition that we wanted to adopt this framework in all of our markets, and really pleased to share the fact that we've achieved that accreditation in our European home credit markets, and we also have met that standard digital in Poland, which is where we started to do the evaluation and the assessment, with a view that we take the knowledge and the learning from that and we actually apply it across the whole of IPF Digital. So our intentions for this year are to actually roll that out further across IPF Digital. We were definitely going to do one market and maybe two or three, because we've done a lot of the hard work for that accreditation that we worked on in IPF Digital Poland back end of last year and into this year.
So definitely the ISO certification accreditation will support our strategy, next gen strategy, and help us to grow, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's about having a healthy culture, and one thing that is for certain is that there's always going to be lots of change, and I think that's one of the things that really can help organisations is to help to make sure that people can be resilient and flexible and adaptable, and having something like this in place just helps us to have something to stop and think and say, are we always doing the right things? Are we stopping and considering and reflecting? Are we giving people the opportunity to share actually what is on their mind? Because I think we do an awful lot of well-being activities across IPF Digital and across IPF, but maybe sometimes we're focusing our energies on maybe not the things that are making the biggest difference to people at that point in time. So using a framework like the ISO 45003 really make sure you stop and you ask questions about all the different elements to uncover the things that are really having a negative impact on people, or even a positive impact, and we can then do more of those positive things.
Yes, and definitely will support our team base in different location, how we are operating and how we can improve our way of working. So for us, is sometimes it's hard to understand how this collaboration looks like. But from your perspective, what makes our culture special and effective in such a global setup?
Yeah. So, right at the beginning when IPF Digital was created, it was created by bringing together two different businesses and two different cultures and creating IPF Digital. We had at that point in time MCB Finance, which was a business that was acquired by IPF, and then we had Happy Loans, which was a kind of a startup greenfield digital business that we had within IPF, and we brought those two businesses together to create IPF Digital. And at that point in time, I was really lucky to be leading things from a people perspective, and I was asked the question of, how do you think we should shape this organization? What is the right structure? And actually, what's the culture that you really want to create? And that's where the hub and spoke model came from. It was looking at what was the smartest way of working in order to to deliver the best success for our customers. And as part of that, from the very beginning, I knew that that collaboration was going to have to be critical, because we can't work we can't work effectively as individual units. We have to work as one, and that's really why I like the analogy of the hub and the spoke, because a wheel is only effective because of all the parts coming together to make it effective. If you take away from a wheel, then it's not as effective, and that's why it kind of really stuck with me. But we do have challenges, because we are mainly remote as a business. Most of you who are joining me today are in different geographical locations, probably working with people in multiple time zones. We're covering 3 different continents. We have a whole multitude of cultures. So, it's not just the cultures of the countries where we have operational businesses, but, we're a really diverse business, and we have people from lots and lots of different backgrounds, nationalities and mindsets. That brings with it, wonderful ideas and vibrancy and difference, which is phenomenal. And for me is one of the things I love about our business. But with that, it requires us to see things from other people's perspectives, to be willing to listen, not always to think that we know the right way of doing things, that sometimes there could be a different way, and we might need to meet in the middle in order to find the best solution for everybody. And that's really where collaboration comes into things. And we've talked about collaboration for a long time, and a lot of the things that we do from a people perspective every year are really designed to keep focusing on the importance of collaboration. So whether or not that's our functional meetings, or the ideathons or collaboration events that we have, or our virtual conferences, or our spotlight sessions, our IPFD talks, what was our business and people updates, they're all designed to really focus on the importance of collaboration and working together effectively. And it's something that kind of our work is never done. I don't think we can ever sit back and think, we're doing amazing at this. And I never do, and I don't think any of us ever should. Even people who are, wonderful at collaboration right now, it's really easy to forget about the importance of it, particularly when times are difficult. When you're dealing with challenges, that's the time when it can feel easy to just get your head down and think, well, it's not my problem. I'm just going to focus on this, or it's easier to just manage myself and not think about those people who have a different view to me, maybe in a different location. But that's exactly the time that we should work harder at collaborating and trying to find a solution together.
Yeah, time zone is the biggest challenge for us, but we are good with managing the time zones, I think. I feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we could get share your views, guys, who is kind of listening, because this is your reality every day. It's not easy, and it does mean that we have to be zones, is that it's not easy to have meetings. So I was in Estonia last week, and somebody asked me whilst I was there, they said, hey, how do you manage to have meetings when you have team members in 3 continents? And I said it requires flexibility. I think that's the key thing, and having honest discussions. And I feel like we treat each other as adults, and as part of that adult dialogue in work, it has to be, hey, it can't be all all take and it can't be all give. But if you're in a role where you are collaborating with people from other markets, there may be times where you have to join a call that is either really early or is later. But there needs to be a compromise, and as part of that compromise, it needs to be, well, it might be then the following day you start work slightly later and you have a flexible approach, and that's something that your line manager needs to agree with you, but it requires a discussion to say, in our team, how we're going to make this work, what are we going to do. And certainly in our HR team, what we do is we have two meetings per month on the same day, and we have one that is really early Europe time, and then we have one that is kind of really late Europe time, and then the guys in Europe can make the decision of whether or not they join the call at their 8 a.m. or they join a call at their 5 p.m. and it means that Australia and Mexico can join the one at the beginning or the one at the end of the day Europe time, and we record the sessions so that people can attend, but that's not that only requires a discussion, so you have to talk to your teams about it to see what's going to work.
And shows engagement, I think, because I can say from my perspective, it's that having two options on table allows me to join even both just for a moment and say hi to my colleagues, even if I cannot stay for a longer time for the meeting, but I can show others also that I'm connected. In as simple as it is. But I think what you just said is perfectly described the strategy we have and the direction from HR global mindset and local execution with human touch. So we talk a lot about human touch, but in general, what does it mean for us? What kind of human touch we are looking for, and what kind of behaviors or habits matter the most to work in the three continents operational model?
So so we want people to can be as effective as possible, whether or not that's using Microsoft 365 in the most efficient way, using AI, thinking about how we deliver technology, and our feature teams model, are constantly evolving things to try to be as effective as possible. But what we shouldn't forget is that at the end of the day, we're people, and people are complex, and it's really important that we recognize that we allow people to connect as humans, and the fact that we are in such a remote environment, whether or not that's working from home as well as in the office, but globally where we're not together all the time, it means that we have less opportunities to connect, because when you're in a meeting, it's very rare that you would spend time talking about maybe you did the previous night, or maybe a TV show or a book that you're reading, because people tend to have back-to-back meetings and are rushing from one thing to another. So it's really important that we take those opportunities to remember that we're people, and what we see in a meeting is only one part of who we are. But actually what's going on outside of work and for us as a human really influences how we feel. It really influences our emotions. It might mean that we're either really positive and really happy and energized, or it might mean that we're actually finding things really difficult, even the easy things really difficult. So that, I think that's what I mean when we say with a human touch, that remembering that at the end of the day, we're people and we have to connect. And if you notice that something doesn't seem okay with somebody, take the time to ask them about it and say, I'm noticing you're not the same. Look, do you want to just have a chat? And let's just have a coffee, even if it's a virtual coffee, because we're in two different time zones. Let's just take the time to talk and to see what's going on. And people remember those things. They remember those conversations and people that reached out to them, and that helps to build relationships. It helps to collaborate, and it also helps to see things from different perspectives, because sometimes we'll just see our view and we won't actually see how things are landing for that other person, and that might then make us change our actions. So that's what I mean by by the human touch at WeCheck.
Thank you. The human touch is important, and also what I see the major influencers across the IPF Digital supposed to be our leaders. So nothing's happened without leaders and engagement. Leaders'
Yeah.
engagement is crucial to achieve our goals. So, what next for 2026 when it comes to the leadership?
Yeah. I think we're all leaders is my view. We're all leaders, we're all influencers. So no matter what your job title is or what role you're doing, we all have an impact on somebody, whether or not that's a customer or whether or not that's somebody that you directly line manage or whether or not that's other team members. We all have an influence and we all have an impact. So it's really important that we work hard to continually develop people. So one of the things that we're doing this year is we are revitalising our people first. Actually, we did a kick-off session this week. People first is something that we introduced 7 years ago, and it was really designed to keep that focus on the human touch, on the importance of people. We might be a digital organisation, but we have to remember that are people, and that things only work by having great teamwork and a great culture. So People First 2026 is running this year. We are kicking it off first of all with our team in Mexico and Australia. This session this week that we delivered actually was quite unique because we had people joining live in 3 different time zones. We had people based in Estonia, based in Sydney, and based in Mexico City, all live together on a kickoff session. So it required the trainers, some of whom were doing that at 11 p.m. at night to get the right time zone, to be really flexible. But I think that again is quite unique and different. The fact that we want to run it together. It's something we are going to be rolling out to all the other markets. So all of the markets in Europe will also kick that off later on this year, and then we will also make it available to people in the hub as well. So we're starting out with those 2 markets because they're 2 of our larger growth markets with relatively new leaders in that team as well. It's a program of 8 different modules that ranges from things such as adaptability and resilience, Lean, Six Sigma, to emotional intelligence and transactional analysis, leadership and motivation skills. So there's all sorts in there that's really designed to help people to have the tools that they need. And they might already have them. They might know about these topics, but it's designed to give us a refresh and also a chance to calibrate with other people across the business, because you might have had a lot of training around a particular topic, say communication and impact, but it might be that your team and the other people that you work with haven't got that same level of knowledge. So this is going to be a chance for you to share what you know and your knowledge around that topic as well.
So, we are aiming to being a best place to work. So, as a final question, if you could leave one message with all colleagues about building a great place to work, especially in such a global, multicultural environment, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. And I promise you we didn't rehearse it, so I'm thinking on my feet here. I think it would be that we all have a role to play in this. I can't do it alone. Your leaders can't do it alone, because one person or a group of people don't create the culture. My job is to set the vision and to set the framework of how I would like our culture to be, and sure that it's in line with our organizational values and our ethics and our purpose, and we've got the right training in place. But every single one of us has an impact on the experience that other people have. So we create that culture, and it's to never forget that. So, if you feel something is great, then reinforce it. Tell people about why you think it's great and how we can do more of it. If you feel that something isn't as it should be, then say, and say, what can we do to change it? How can we influence this? This is something that I don't like, because it only takes one person to kind of say, and then you suddenly see everyone else saying, oh yeah, I think that as well. Okay, let's change it then. Let's not sit here all feeling uncomfortable. So we all have power, really need to use that power. And I genuinely hope that you also get out of bed in the morning and think, I'm really excited about what I'm doing, and I love what I'm doing, because that's the utopia. That's what we all really want. But we have the power to influence it.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Thank you for joining us today and for sharing such a valuable insight. So we touch a point, we talk about being placed to work, what is the difference between a global mindset and local execution, how the leadership team is supporting us, how we build culture and work together to collaborate. So thank you everyone for listening. Stay connected on Teams, and of course the intranet. It's full of information. Yeah, this is how we build the great place to work together, and each of us have a power to create the best place to work. Right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we can make a difference for sure, each of us.
Every single day. Yeah, we all can make a difference of how other people feel. We have that. That's a gift that we have, and we just need to remember it, that we influence other people, and we influence the mood and the mindset. So let's use that power really wisely.
Thank you. See you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys.
You. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Leanne.
Bye.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye.